Hi there. This picture shows the network layout on our home system. Our home system is called HTPC and it's the host on which we run virtual networks and virtual machine. First of all, we have our default network, which comes with libvirt, and we created a new network called green. In between, we have a router to connect the two networks. It's called DUN-SR1. So on the right corner we have an isolated system which is only connected to the green network, and we want to reach this system from our host. So how do we get there? Well, since the host doesn't have a route to this machine, we need to create a static route that makes it possible to send IP packages this way. So now we are going to demonstrate the need for a static route to the DUN-SP1 system. For this purpose we will use the ping command and we will use the IP route command. More information can be found in the man pages of ping and IP route. So the first command we use is ping, and as you can see, after 1 second, timeout of 1 second, one packet is transmitted, 0 received, so we lose the packet. Next, we are going to add a static route to this network, and we show it. So it has been added to the host system, and now we can see again if we can reach the system. So we will prove that with the ping command, and this time, as you can see, it reacts immediately, so we received our packet. Okay, at this moment we have a manually configured static route. Let's first delete it. So this is not nice, because after a reboot of the system we want to make sure that this route also ends up. So how can we accomplish this task? Well, after doing some research we found out from the libvirt web page how to add static routes to virtual networks. This is the page. It explains about the network XML format, and somewhere in this page we can find a section about static routes. So basically what this explains is that once a network comes up and you want to have a static route added to your host, so the host is the system on which the virtual machines run, you need to add static routes on that network definition in this way. So that's exactly what we are going to do. So let's see how it works. We will use the virshell command, and in order to get help one can use virshell help or the man page. So the first thing that we are going to do is to dump the existing default network to an XML file. Next we will edit it, and as said before, we are going to add a static route. This is the static route we are going to add. Okay, we have to do one more thing. We are deleting the unique universal identifier because it's going to be recreated when we create the default network again. So this is it. This should do it. Okay, the next step is to destroy the existing default network. We will do that with this command, virshell net destroy, and then we can see it is destroyed. Basically this stops the network, it switches it off, but it's still there in the definition. So next thing we need to do is to undefine it. At this point this network doesn't exist anymore and is not defined. We can redefine it by using the XML file we created before, is the virshell net define command. At this point it is defined on the system, but it doesn't start automatically. So for that we need to specify that it needs to be auto started at boot up time when we switch on the host. And at this point we also want to use the network, so let's start it with the virtual net start command. Okay, so at this point we have started the network, and in the network we had defined the static root. So let's see if we can actually see the static root. And as you can see over here, it is indeed available on the system. Okay, so at this point we should be able to ping the system via the router. So let's try that. And sort of surprising, we now see that it is still not reachable, although we have created the extra static root. So what happened here? Basically, by destroying the default network, the connection of the router to the default network was unplugged. So we need to plug it in again. We do that by finding out what interfaces the router has, and on the default network it has an interface with this MAC address. So what we need to do is to first unplug it and then plug it in again. So now we attach it. Well, all actions are successful, so let's see if we can ping the system again. And voila, it works. So now we still need to figure out whether this will do. So what happens after a reboot? Well, let's do that. We'll be right back to you. So we left off by rebooting the system. We are back now, and let's see if we indeed see the static root. Well, clearly it shows up here, and eventually we want to see whether we can ping our system, and that also works. So at this point we have a working system with a static root attached to the default network. So this is the way how to configure a static root when we are using virtualization. Okay, the question might come up, why can we not do this with Network Manager? Well, the thing is that Network Manager doesn't manage the virtual network, and it's impossible to do so because when the system boots up, that is the host system, first the network needs to be started, so Network Manager kicks in, and then after that the libvirt service is started. And we can show this with the systemctl commands. And then when we ask for the network target, so that's basically the point in which the network is started on the host system, it needs to be done after a number of other items that needs to be running in order for the network target to reach its goal. And one of the things we can see over here is the Network Manager service. So first Network Manager need to run in order for the network to reach its target. So in the second one we can see that libvirt needs to be run after the network target, which is dependent on the Network Manager service. So clearly from here we can see that first the network needs to be started in order for libvirt service to run. We can also look it up in the service specification files via the systemd files, and then we can see here Network Manager service needs to be started before network target and network service. And the same thing for libvirt service. You can see it needs to be run after the network target. So this proves that libvirt is actually started after the network. So Network Manager, when it is running, has no chance at that point to start up the default network and its static virtual root.